They spent their life savings on the perfect tropical honeymoon, and 49 of these couples turned it into the most humiliating spectacle their resort had ever witnessed. One guy jet-skied straight through a beach buffet mid-lunch. One woman skinny dipped at midnight, forgetting the pool had underwater lights, in front of the entire hotel. One couple got rescued by actual firefighters after locking themselves out on the balcony in nothing but swimsuits. Staff couldn't stop laughing, guests couldn't stop filming, and somewhere out there, these people are still living it down. And hit subscribe now, because you do not want to miss what happens at number 35. 1. A young husband packed 14 Hawaiian shirts for the trip and forgot swim trunks. He figured cargo shorts would work fine for snorkeling, since nobody would notice underwater. The moment he dove into the reef, the current ripped both his flip-flops away. He surfaced flapping his arms while a group of teenagers pointed and laughed from their paddleboards nearby. His new wife could not stop laughing as she watched him wade back to shore barefoot and soaked. The lifeguard offered him sandals from the lost and found bin. By dinner, the resort staff knew him as the shirt guy. 2. A middle-aged woman booked what the website called a beachfront villa for their anniversary trip. She pictured white curtains blowing in the ocean breeze with champagne waiting on the balcony. When they arrived, the porter led them behind the main building to a small shed sitting next to the dumpsters. Taped to the wall inside was a printed postcard of the ocean view she thought she had paid for. Her husband started laughing so hard he had to sit down on the tiny cot they were given. Other guests walking past peeked inside and walked away trying not to laugh. 3. A young man visiting the Bahamas wanted to impress the resort staff with his Spanish skills before ordering breakfast. He walked up to the pool bar and confidently asked for dos tacos de piña colada. The bartender stared at him for a long moment before quietly explaining that pineapple cocktails and tacos were not the same thing at all. A group of women sunbathing nearby overheard the whole exchange and burst into laughter behind their sunglasses. His girlfriend buried her face in her towel out of pure embarrassment. He still ordered the same thing the next morning just to prove a point. 4. A newlywed couple wanted matching henna tattoos of each other's names to celebrate their honeymoon. Halfway through the appointment, the artist ran out of henna and quietly switched to actual sunscreen lotion without telling them. They walked around the resort all day proud of their new ink, completely unaware nothing was there. It was not until an old woman at the pool pointed out their arms looked suspiciously shiny that they realized the truth. The husband tried wiping his arm, and the entire name smeared away instantly. Their wedding photographer had already taken 40 pictures of the fake tattoos. 5. An older uncle visiting the resort decided he could win a staring contest against a wild parrot sitting near the breakfast buffet. He leaned in close and locked eyes with the bird, determined not to blink first. The parrot lunged forward and snatched his omelet straight off the plate in one swift motion. Startled, the uncle stumbled backward, knocking his sunglasses into a nearby fruit bowl. A table of teenagers nearby started clapping and cheering for the parrot like it had just won a championship. The uncle spent the rest of breakfast glaring at every bird that came near him. 6. A young woman insisted on wearing brand new stiletto heels for the resort's volcano hiking tour, despite everyone warning her against it. Within the first 10 minutes, her heels sank into the volcanic ash, and she could barely take another step forward. 4 resort guides eventually had to carry her the rest of the way up, while her husband walked behind filming everything. A local llama used for the tour watched the entire scene with visible disinterest. By the time they reached the top, the whole tour group had already heard the story twice. She still refused to change out of the heels for the way back down. 7. A husband wanted to try surfing for the very first time, but decided to practice his stance inside the hotel lobby first. He grabbed a borrowed surfboard and stood on it in the middle of the marble floor to get a feel for balance. Within seconds, he lost his footing and swung the board directly into a large hanging chandelier. Glass and crystal pieces rained down as guests at the front desk scrambled out of the way. His wife stood frozen in shock while the manager rushed over asking what on earth had just happened. He still insisted the ocean would have gone much better. 8. A young couple decided to save space for their 2-week trip by packing an entire suitcase full of snacks instead of clothes. By day 3, they realized they only had one swimsuit each for the whole vacation and had to wear the same one daily. Other guests at the pool started recognizing them immediately by their now iconic matching outfits. A group of women sunbathing nearby joked that they should just start charging for autographs. The couple laughed it off while quietly rationing chips behind their pool chairs. Housekeeping eventually left them a note offering to wash their swimsuits overnight. 9. A groom wanted to give a heartfelt toast to his new wife during the resort's silent disco night where everyone wore wireless headphones. Forgetting that nobody around him could actually hear anything without headphones, he shouted his toast at the top of his lungs. The entire dance floor turned to stare as his voice echoed alone across the beach, with no music to blend into. His bride covered her face, while a group of teens nearby started recording immediately. The DJ eventually gave him a headset just so the moment would not go completely unheard. The video ended up circulating the entire resort by morning. 10. A young wife wanted the perfect sunset kiss photo with her husband while balancing on a rented paddleboard offshore. Just as she leaned in for the shot, a small wave rocked the board and sent them both crashing into the water. They surfaced moments later, surrounded by a startled school of fish darting in every direction. A family watching from the beach burst into laughter as the husband tried to salvage his sunglasses floating nearby. Their photographer somehow still managed to capture the exact moment of the fall. The couple later admitted the photo was funnier than the kiss would have been. 11. An older uncle insisted on wearing a fanny pack shaped like a giant pineapple to the resort's fanciest dinner night. Security stopped him at the entrance when the metal detector went off from the buckle hidden inside the pack. He tried explaining it was simply a fashion statement, while guests behind him in line grew impatient. The detector beeped 2 more times before staff finally let him through with an amused shake of the head. His wife walked several steps ahead, pretending she had never met him. By dessert, half the dining room already knew about the pineapple incident. 12. A young couple got so carried away with the resort's welcome cocktail that they accidentally wandered into the wrong hotel room entirely. It turned out to be a stranger's honeymoon suite, already decorated with rose petals and candles for another couple. Confused but delighted, they assumed it was their own room and left glowing 5-star reviews online. The real honeymooners returned later to find half-eaten chocolate and rearranged pillows waiting for them. Front desk staff spent an hour trying to sort out the mix-up. Both couples ended up laughing about it over drinks the next morning. 13. A confident young woman decided she could outdance the resort's professional salsa instructor during the nightly beachside show. She spun a little too enthusiastically and knocked straight into a lit tiki torch display near the stage. Sparks scattered as staff rushed over while the crowd gasped and then quickly started laughing instead. The instructor calmly stepped in and finished the routine without missing a single beat. Her husband filmed the entire thing from his seat instead of helping. The video became the most replayed moment of the entire show that week. 14. A husband brought an extra-long selfie stick, determined to capture the perfect vacation photo by the pool. While spinning around for the ideal angle, he accidentally swung the stick straight into a passing waiter's tray. Margarita glasses flew through the air, landing with a splash directly into the pool below, along with the garnish. Guests nearby erupted into laughter as the waiter stood frozen in disbelief. His wife apologized profusely while quietly stepping away from the selfie stick for good. The resort later joked they should charge a selfie stick deposit at check-in. 15. A young couple tried to save money by sneaking food out of the breakfast buffet using his swim trunks pockets. They loaded up on pastries and fruit slices before heading straight to the pool without thinking it through. Within minutes, soggy bits of bread and fruit began floating to the surface around him. A family relaxing nearby noticed first and burst out laughing while pointing at the mysterious buffet debris. Pool staff had to pause and skim the water in front of everyone. He insisted it had seemed like a perfectly reasonable plan that morning. 16. A confident young woman challenged the resort's professional beach volleyball instructor to a one-on-one match in front of a growing crowd. On the very first serve, she dove dramatically and landed face-first straight into the sand. The instructor paused respectfully before the entire crowd of tourists broke into laughter and applause. Her boyfriend rushed over, trying not to laugh himself, while brushing sand from her hair. She insisted the sun had been directly in her eyes the whole time. The instructor offered her a rematch the next day just for fun. 17. A husband rented a jet ski for the first time and quickly forgot exactly how the brakes were supposed to work. Panicking as he approached the shore, he steered straight up onto the beach buffet table during the middle of lunch service. Plates and trays scattered everywhere as guests jumped back in shock and confusion. A group of teens nearby immediately started filming the chaos instead of helping clean up. His wife stood frozen holding 2 drinks as sand and salad mixed together at her feet. Staff spent the rest of the afternoon rebuilding the buffet from scratch. 18. An older couple decided to treat themselves to a relaxing couples massage on their anniversary trip. Both of them fell asleep so deeply that their snoring became louder than the ocean waves outside the spa windows. Other guests waiting for their own appointments started giggling as the sound echoed through the hallway. The massage therapists exchanged amused glances but let them sleep a little longer than scheduled. A young woman waiting nearby joked that they should charge extra for the surround sound experience. The couple woke up confused as to why everyone was smiling at them. 19. A young wife refused to leave her giant inflatable flamingo float unattended by the pool, even during the resort's formal dinner. She carried the enormous float directly into the dining room and set it up in the chair beside her. Waiters had to maneuver carefully around the inflatable, while other guests stared in disbelief at the sight. Her husband tried explaining the situation to the confused host, but gave up halfway through. A family at the next table started taking pictures like it was part of the entertainment. She fed the flamingo a breadstick just to complete the look. 20. A husband learned fire dancing from a 5-minute video online and decided the resort's evening show was the perfect debut. Confidence quickly turned to panic as the flames got too close and singed off both his eyebrows completely. Guests gasped before breaking into nervous laughter as staff rushed over with a fire extinguisher just in case. His wife covered her mouth in shock while trying not to laugh at the same time. The performer scheduled after him had to calm the crowd down before continuing the show. He spent the rest of the trip drawing his eyebrows on with makeup. 21. A young woman insisted on riding the resort's mechanical bull while wearing a flowy sundress instead of proper clothes. The moment the machine kicked into gear, her dress billowed up as she spun completely out of control across the pool deck. Guests nearby scrambled out of the way while laughing at the unexpected show unfolding in front of them. Her boyfriend tried to catch her, but ended up knocked into a pool chair instead. A group of teens immediately started recording the entire spinning disaster on their phones. She landed safely, but refused to get back on for the rest of the trip. 22. An older woman ignored every warning sign and insisted on feeding the wild monkeys near the resort directly from her hand. Within seconds, one monkey grabbed the entire snack and signaled the rest of the group to come running toward her. She ended up sprinting across the resort grounds, being chased by 6 monkeys determined to get more food. Her husband stood frozen, laughing too hard to even think about helping her. A family watching from their balcony filmed the entire chase from start to finish. Staff later had to remind guests for the 3rd time that week not to feed the wildlife. 23. A young man accepted a dare to open a coconut using only his teeth in front of a crowd at the beach bar. The moment he bit down, he immediately regretted the decision, as pain shot through his jaw instantly. His friends laughed hysterically while he clutched his mouth trying to figure out what had just happened. A staff member quickly called for the resort dentist instead of the bartender everyone expected. His girlfriend apologized to the dentist while trying not to laugh at the situation herself. He spent the rest of the trip eating only soup and refusing every dare after that. 24. A husband tried convincing the pool bartender he was a VIP guest in order to skip the long line for drinks. The bartender calmly asked for his room number and loudly announced over the counter that no such VIP existed. The entire sunbathing crowd nearby turned to watch as he stood there completely exposed and embarrassed. His wife slowly backed away, pretending not to know him at all. A group of teens started chanting VIP sarcastically as he walked back to the end of the line. He waited the full 30 minutes while everyone continued glancing over and snickering. 25. A wife wore her actual wedding dress to renew vows with her husband directly on the beach at sunset. Just as they exchanged their new vows, the tide came in much faster than either of them expected. $10,000 worth of delicate lace was soaked instantly as waves crashed around her ankles. Her husband tried lifting her out of the water, but only made the moment more chaotic. A family nearby rushed to help gather the dress before it floated away completely. She laughed through tears, insisting the memory was still worth every penny of damage. 26. A husband was convinced he could hold his breath underwater longer than a dolphin during the resort's marine show. He jumped into the training pool uninvited, determined to prove his point in front of the entire audience. Security calmly but firmly escorted him out, while guests around him burst into laughter and applause. His wife sank into her seat, pretending she had never seen him before in her life. A group of children in the front row cheered for the dolphin instead of him. He still argued afterward that he had definitely lasted longer than the dolphin did. 27. An older couple began arguing loudly about the correct way to apply sunscreen while lounging by the resort pool. Their bickering grew louder until nearly every guest nearby turned to watch the unexpected show unfold. A teenager sitting close by started filming the entire argument and posted it online before they even left the pool area. Other guests began laughing and taking bets on who would win the debate. Their adult daughter walked over embarrassed, trying to calm them both down at once. By evening, several strangers were quoting their sunscreen argument back to them at dinner. 28. A young woman insisted on holding a piña colada in each hand while attempting the resort's ziplining course for the first time. Halfway through the ride, the wind knocked both drinks against her chest, completely soaking her from top to bottom. She arrived at the landing platform dripping in sticky liquid, while the staff member greeted her with concern. Her friends waiting below could not stop laughing as she stepped off looking like she had swam through a cocktail. A family watching nearby asked if drinks were included with every zipline ticket. She still insisted the ride had been completely worth it. 29. A husband accidentally locked himself and his wife out on their hotel balcony while both were still in their swimsuits. With no way back inside, they had to wait nearly an hour before finally waving down help from below. The fire department arrived and had to rescue them using a ladder, while a small crowd gathered to watch. Wrapped in a single towel between them, they awkwardly waved to onlookers as they were lowered down. A group of teens cheered like it was a rescue mission on television. Hotel staff later joked they should install a spare key box on every balcony. 30. A husband rented a snorkel mask 2 sizes too small just to save a few dollars before the resort's reef tour. Throughout the entire tour, he looked like he was gasping for air while everyone else calmly enjoyed the coral reef. A family swimming nearby kept glancing over, worried something was seriously wrong with him. His wife eventually swam over just to confirm he was breathing fine and not actually panicking. The tour guide had to check on him twice, thinking he needed help. He finally ripped the mask off, complaining it had ruined the entire experience for him. 31. An older woman insisted the resort chef prepare her a gluten-free lobster for dinner, without understanding lobster never contained gluten at all. The chef politely tried explaining the situation, but she remained convinced she needed the special order regardless. Nearby diners overheard the conversation and struggled to hold back their laughter at the table. Her husband quietly asked the waiter to just bring the regular lobster instead of causing further confusion. A young waitress had to step away to compose herself before returning to take the rest of the order. She later told everyone at the table how amazing her special gluten-free lobster tasted. 32. A husband challenged the resort's reigning karaoke champion to a duet during the evening entertainment show. Confidence quickly faded the moment the music started and he realized he had forgotten every single lyric to the song he chose himself. The crowd began laughing as he mumbled random words, trying to keep up with the champion beside him. His wife buried her face in her hands from her seat near the stage. A group of teens started shouting out the correct lyrics just to help him along. He still took a dramatic bow at the end, despite the disaster. 33. A young couple decided to skinny dip in the resort pool at midnight, thinking nobody would notice in the dark. They completely forgot the pool had bright underwater lights turned on for nighttime safety. Within seconds, they realized nearly the entire hotel could see them clearly from their balconies above. A group of guests upstairs began laughing and pointing, while others quickly looked away in shock. They scrambled out of the pool, wrapped in towels, trying to disappear as fast as possible. Staff later joked they should add a note about the lights to the welcome packet. 34. A young woman decided to do a full workout routine directly inside the resort's swim-up pool bar. Every squat and jump sent margaritas splashing onto nearby guests, simply trying to relax with their drinks. A family close by moved their chairs away while trying not to laugh at the unexpected splash zone. The bartender asked her twice to maybe find a different spot for her exercise routine. Her husband apologized repeatedly while she continued her workout, completely unbothered by the chaos around her. Guests eventually started placing bets on how many drinks she would splash next. 35. An uncle attempted to teach the resort's pet toucan how to high-five during breakfast near the swim-up bar. The bird responded by nipping his finger sharply in front of a growing crowd of amused onlookers. He yelped and pulled his hand back while everyone around him burst into laughter at the sight. His wife rushed over, checking his finger while trying to hide her own amusement. A group of children nearby cheered for the toucan like it had just won a competition. He nursed his finger the rest of the day while avoiding every bird near the resort. 36. A newlywed couple got so severely sunburned on their very first day that they spent the rest of the honeymoon wrapped in ice packs. Unable to leave their room comfortably, they ended up ordering every meal through room service while wearing matching hotel bathrobes. Housekeeping joked that they had become the most requested ice delivery of the entire week. A family staying next door offered them extra aloe vera they had brought along. The couple laughed about it later, admitting they had ignored every sunscreen reminder from the front desk. Their honeymoon photos ended up looking more red than romantic. 37. A young woman attempted to record an epic drone video capturing their entire vacation from above the resort. While maneuvering for the perfect angle, she lost control and crashed the drone directly into the resort manager's office window. Staff rushed outside to investigate the loud crash, while guests nearby stopped to watch the commotion unfold. Her boyfriend tried explaining the situation while she stood frozen, holding the now broken remote control. A group of teens nearby immediately began filming the aftermath instead of the drone footage itself. The resort manager later kept the broken drone propeller as a souvenir. 38. A husband wore socks with sandals to the resort's pool party despite his wife warning him beforehand. Other guests noticed immediately and could not resist pointing out the questionable fashion choice throughout the entire event. By the next morning, his outfit had become the resort's most talked-about meme of the week. Staff even joked about it at the check-in desk when he walked past. His wife pretended not to know him every time someone brought it up again. He still insisted the socks provided excellent comfort throughout the entire party. 39. A young couple decided to order room service in the middle of an active hurricane warning being announced across the resort. When they casually asked about the poolside menu options, the staff member gently reminded them the pool was currently closed for safety. Other guests overhearing the call could not help but laugh at their timing during the storm. Hotel staff patiently explained the situation twice before finally taking their modified indoor order instead. Their neighbors joked the couple seemed more worried about lunch than the actual hurricane outside. They still requested extra napkins for their poolside order that never happened. 40. A young woman accidentally signed them up for the resort's extreme adventure package, thinking it was simply a relaxing spa day instead. She realized her mistake only when they arrived at the cliff diving platform, still wearing her flowy sundress from breakfast. Guides tried to convince her to change first, but she nervously insisted on jumping exactly as she was. Her husband filmed the entire dramatic leap, while guests below cheered louder than expected for a spa day. She resurfaced laughing hysterically with her dress completely soaked and tangled around her. The resort later used her photo accidentally in their adventure package advertisement. 41. A husband bragged to everyone at the resort bar that he understood the local ocean currents better than any lifeguard there. Determined to prove it, he swam confidently away from shore, only to start struggling within a few minutes. The lifeguard had to swim out and rescue him just 20 feet from the beach in front of a growing crowd. His wife stood on the sand shaking her head while guests nearby snapped photos of the rescue. A group of teens joked that he had discovered a brand new current nobody else knew about. He still told everyone afterward that he had been perfectly fine the whole time. 42. A young couple brought their own small inflatable pool and set it up directly beside the resort's massive Olympic-sized pool. When staff asked why, they explained it simply felt more personal than swimming with everyone else nearby. Guests walking past could not help but laugh at the tiny pool sitting awkwardly next to the enormous one. A family relaxing close by joked that they should charge admission to their exclusive private pool. The couple stayed committed to their tiny pool for the rest of the week despite constant stares. Staff eventually started referring to it as the resort's smallest attraction. 43. A young woman tried to capture the perfect candid beach photo for her vacation album one quiet afternoon. Without realizing it, she stepped directly into the middle of a professional wedding photo shoot happening right behind her. The photographer paused mid-shot as the bride and groom stared in confusion at the stranger now in their frame. Guests nearby burst into laughter watching her slowly realize what she had just done. Her boyfriend apologized repeatedly to the wedding party while she backed away red-faced. The wedding photographer later admitted the accidental photo turned out surprisingly good anyway. 44. A husband insisted on carrying every single piece of luggage himself just to look strong in front of his new wife. Halfway to the check-in desk, his back gave out completely and he collapsed onto a nearby luggage cart. Bellhops rushed over trying to help, while guests nearby stopped to watch the sudden commotion unfold. His wife sighed, while reminding him she had offered to help multiple times before they even arrived. A group of teens nearby laughed as they filmed him being wheeled the rest of the way. He still insisted he had simply tripped over his own suitcase. 45. A young couple tried sneaking their small chihuahua into the resort disguised under a floppy beach hat the entire day. Everything went smoothly until the dog spotted the resort's macaws and began barking uncontrollably near the pool area. Staff quickly discovered the tiny disguise the moment guests nearby started laughing and pointing at the commotion. The couple tried explaining he was simply a very vocal stuffed animal, but nobody believed them. A family close by offered to watch the dog while they sorted things out with management. The chihuahua spent the rest of the trip barking at every bird in sight. 46. A young woman confidently presented her own homemade cocktail recipe to the resort's professional mixologist, expecting instant praise. After one sip, he paused for a long moment before gently pointing out it was simply orange juice with a paper umbrella. Guests sitting nearby at the bar tried hard not to laugh at her reaction to the news. Her boyfriend quietly slid his own drink toward her, trying to ease the embarrassment. A group of teens nearby started requesting their own orange juice cocktails just to tease her further. She still insisted her recipe deserved a spot on the resort's official menu. 47. A husband entered the resort's limbo contest, determined to win no matter what it took against the other guests. Halfway through, he began visibly bending his knees to sneak under the bar instead of leaning back properly. Judges quickly noticed the obvious cheating and disqualified him in front of the entire cheering crowd. His wife covered her face laughing, while guests nearby booed playfully at the announcement. A group of children who had been competing fairly cheered loudly at his disqualification. He still argued afterward that his technique had simply been misunderstood by the judges. 48. A husband confidently entered the resort's newlywed game show, certain he knew everything about his brand new wife. Live on stage in front of the entire crowd, he guessed her favorite color incorrectly 7 times in a row. The audience grew louder with laughter after every wrong answer, while the host struggled to keep a straight face. His wife sat across from him, shaking her head with a mix of amusement and disbelief. A group of guests nearby started shouting out random colors, just to see if any of them would land. He still insisted he had simply gotten nervous under the bright stage lights. 49. A young woman insisted on wearing a full ball gown to every single beach event throughout their entire tropical vacation. By the afternoon, 2 staff members had to be assigned just to fan her while sand piled into the heavy tulle underneath. Guests nearby watched in amazement as she calmly sipped her drink, completely unbothered by the extra attention. Her husband tried convincing her a swimsuit might be easier, but she refused to even consider the idea. A family close by joked she looked ready for a royal wedding rather than a beach party. She wore the same ball gown proudly all the way through their final night. And there you have it. 49 couples who turned paradise into their own personal comedy stage. 1 sunburn, 1 runaway drone, and 1 very unimpressed llama at a time. If any of these had you cackling or cringing on behalf of humanity, smash that like button, subscribe to BrainFumble, and hit the notification bell so you never miss the next disaster vacation roundup. Share this with the friend who once wore socks with sandals. You know exactly who that is. Now drop a comment and tell us which couple embarrassed you the most, the flamingo float at formal dinner or the gluten-free lobster. See you in the next one.